My name is Terrence Barr. I'm a technologist for Oracle and also a product manager for one of Oracle's embedded Java products. I currently live in Germany, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to come here to Warsaw and talk about what's happening in Java. A lot is happening in Java. The platform is evolving really quickly. What I wanted to do in this talk is give you sort of a broad overview of what has happened in 2011, what we're planning for 2012 and going forward. And the Java platform is big, right? It encompasses many different technologies and platforms. So necessarily I will have to skip a lot of the details and hope that you can follow up online for more information. First, some questions. I would like to get an idea how many people are involved with local Java user groups or maybe the Java community process. If you can raise your hands if you're in a Java user group. A couple of people, okay. Who is doing Java enterprise development? Okay, most people. Who is doing Java desktop or SE development, Java SE? Okay, and how about mobile or embedded Java? Okay, a few people. All right, yeah, that's what we typically see, a lot of interest in Java EE. Still people coming in. So, last year I added up all the Java devices and platforms that are out there, and I was surprised myself that I got to 10 billion. If you add up all Java platforms, Java cards, mobile devices, desktops, embedded devices, everywhere that Java runs, we're about at 10 billion devices. So that's pretty amazing. And Java covers a very broad spectrum of platforms, obviously. And I assume you've seen this picture in one way or another before. The Java platform, the Java language spreads across all these platforms, and then you have different vertical segments, different Java runtimes, Java SE, Java ME, Java card, and then for the specific target markets for servers, for desktops, for embedded devices, entertainment devices, mobile, all the way down to very, very small. I'll be touching on most of these subjects in the talk, again, just to give you an idea of how things are moving forward. Good, it's filling up. So when I'm an ex-Sun guy myself. I joined Sun in 1997, and when Oracle bought Sun, a lot of people were a bit worried, what is Oracle doing with Java? Are they taking it serious? Do they understand the Java community? And I think it's fair to say that Oracle has done a really good job with Java. They have invigorated the platform again. They are moving the platform forward. They're releasing new versions of Java. They are doing Java events all over the world. So the top priorities are really, get Java back into the groove again, make sure that it's moving forward, grow the developer base, grow the Java adoption, and adapt it to change, right? Java for a couple of years under Sun at the end did not evolve very much, right? Java 7 was stuck forever for various reasons, and Oracle said we need to take Java and make it evolve, add new features, add new platforms to make it competitive again. And I think that's, by and large, that's gone very well. And I don't want to go through all of the details of the next 3 slides, but I just wanted to, if you're not following the Java space every day, you might have missed some of these events over the last year. We've released JDK 7, obviously, on time in July of 2011. A lot of good features in Java 7, and we'll talk about that a bit. Java 7 or JDK for macOS X is now a fully supported platform. On the enterprise side, we've been moving Glassfish along, so that's the Java EE reference implementation. The Java EE7 specification is underway. We'll talk about that. Javafx. Who has heard of Javafx? Show of hands. Okay, a couple people. Yeah, this is definitely something to look into. Javafx is moving forward. There's been a new release out, and I'll hopefully give you a demo. And then finally, in the mobile and embedded space, a couple of things are happening. We are releasing new embedded Java platforms. We are in the process of updating specifications, so a lot of things. That was on the technology side. In the community, also, I think Oracle has done a really good job in getting the community back together again. OpenJDK is now the Java project in the open source where all the Java development and all the innovation happens, and you can participate in that. The JCP is picking up speed again. There have been a couple of new Java specification requests or JSRs. And very important, for the first time in the Java community process, there are now actually user groups represented. So there's SuJava, which is the biggest Java user group in the world. They're in Brazil, as well as the London Java group. They have been elected to the executive committee of the Java community process, which means that for the first time, Java users like yourself are directly involved in the evolution of the platform and the direction that the platform takes. So that's very important. And then finally, from an Oracle perspective, Oracle is investing a lot of money into Java on different levels in the technology itself. Oracle is actually hiring has a number of open Java positions, both technology as well as management, in different countries around the world. Of course, we're doing Java 1, not only in San Francisco, but also in Brazil and in China and Japan, in India. And things like JDK downloads have been increasing dramatically over the last year, so we can see that developers are really interested in Java again and are having another look at the platform. So I want to structure my talk in touching on every one of the big topics, so servers, desktop and the Java C platform, servers, Javafx, as well as mobile and embedded. So obviously, Javafx Ui is the base platform for everything in Java. It's still the #1 choice of Java developers around the world, and something like 97% of all desktops in the world run Java. So, it's pretty impressive, and we're seeing this actually grow and accelerate. The objectives have always been, and Oracle has now, put some more focus on this. The focus has always been, write once, run everywhere. That hasn't always been easy because historically Java has evolved slightly differently on different platforms, but Oracle is putting a lot of focus on that again. We want to make sure that Java runs on many platforms, on new types of hardware, new types of operating systems, including things like tablets. We want to increase productivity, flexibility, performance, right? So all the things that you expect from a platform that keeps evolving, including things like support for multiple languages, and we'll talk about that as well. So when we had the first Java 1 in 2010, which was the first one under Oracle's leadership, Oracle had, at that point, set some big roadmap items on what they wanted to accomplish with Java going forward. And here are 3 of them. First, deliver JDK 7, which was a big thing because it was stuck at Sun for the longest time. So they wanted to finally get Java 7 out the door. They wanted to support Mac OS X natively. So after Apple declared that they wouldn't be supporting Java directly on the Mac anymore, Oracle said, okay, this is an important platform for us. We're going to take it on. Oracle had its own Java runtime, the JRocket VM, and they are merging the JRocket VM with the Hotspot VM from Sun to create one unified Java runtime. That makes it easier for everyone. That's also been released under the same binary license as Hotspot, so you can use that for free as well, JRocket. And then open source. It was really important for Oracle to make sure that Java is developed out in the open and that OpenJDK becomes the standard project for all things Java. This has happened, and since then we had a number of industry players join OpenJDK, so we now have IBM, Apple, Red Hat, Twitter, ARM, and a number of other players working with us in OpenJDK to drive Java forward. And I think that's very, very positive. Who has started looking at or written some code for Java 7 at this point? Not too bad. Okay, we're actually seeing Java 7 adoption grow pretty quickly now after the initial phase, so it's been out for almost a year. People were initially cautious because, of course, especially enterprise platforms, enterprise applications tend to move slowly. But Java 7 has a number of significant features and updates. And some of those are Project Coin, which is a number of new Java language features to make coding in the Java language easier. There are things like, little things like strings and switch statements. There's the new try with resources, try catch with resources syntax. There are a number of things that make developing in Java easier and less error prone. There's the invoke dynamic handler now, or the invoke dynamic plumbing in Java SE, which allows you to run scripting languages, languages with dynamic typing, much faster than you could in the past. So we're seeing, for example, JRuby run 5 to 10 times faster with Java 7 than it did with Java 6, because the Java VM with Project Coin, with Project Invoke Dynamic, actually has a bytecode, a new bytecode in the virtual machine specifically for dynamically typed languages that makes execution much faster. Which means for you as a developer, if you have a Java runtime, if you have Java 7 as your deployment target, you can choose the best language for your particular part of the problem without any performance hit, right? You can choose to write one part of your application in Java. If you want to use some of the Java features, you might have Java libraries. Then you can use Groovy or JRuby or Scala or whatever for other parts of your application, and they all integrate seamlessly, and you run at maximum performance, right? So that's a big value, I think, for developers. We have the fork join framework in Java 7, which allows you to write applications to parallelize your applications. If you do number crunching on big data sets, then the fork join framework will help you to automatically parallelize your application and run it on the maximum number of cores that your system has. And Java 7 takes all the work off you and manages that for you. We also have another big item is NewIO2, which helps you to interact with the file system of your platform much better with less code. And then a number of other features in Java 7. I can't go through them all. It's definitely worth taking a look at. There's a lot of good information on Java 7, including webcasts, coding examples. And of course, like always, it's free. Just go to Oracle's download pages and you can download it. On the JDK 7 roadmap, this is also very, very important because under Sun, at the end, there was not really a roadmap. There were no public plans, and of course, it's very hard for developers to adopt the technology and plan their own projects if the vendor of that technology doesn't have a roadmap. Oracle immediately recognized that this needs to be fixed, and so this is the current roadmap for JDK. So we're 2012, sorry, we actually released JDK 7 Update 4, including full support for macOS X. At the end of the year, we'll see JDK 7 Update 6 with improved OS integration, especially for Mac. We'll also see the last public updates of JDK 6. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then in 2013, the big ticket item is JDK 8, and we'll talk about that some more as well. There are a number of fairly revolutionary features planned for JDK 8. And Netbeans always moves along in terms of supporting all the latest Java functionality. So JDK 8, I won't go into too much detail. We are establishing a 2-year cadence of releases where every 2 years we do a major release of Java. That is about the time frame that developers have told us works best for them. We don't want to deliver too much too fast. So in JDK 8, that'll be out roughly in the summer of next year. We have the big items of Project Jigsaw, which allows modularization of the Java platform to make it smaller and faster and use less memory. You can also use that for your own applications and get rid of the class path hell, as we call it. Project Lambda, which basically is Lambda expressions for the Java language. So Lambdas are a bit like closures, a bit simpler, but they provide most of the benefits of closures in Java. Let's see, we are starting to bundle Javafx with the Java runtime, so we're hoping to have Javafx 3.0 available at that time. We're adding additional devices, multi-touch support, things like that, and a number of other things. So part of this is still in discussion. We haven't finalized the feature set completely, but there will be a lot of good stuff coming. Just to touch on, what we're thinking beyond JDK 8, improving interoperability between different languages on the VM even more, making integration with native code on the platform easier from Java, getting rid of JNI and replacing that with something that's easy and more reliable. We want to build cloud support into the platform, things like multi-tenancy and resource management. Unified type system is something that we're looking at, so getting rid of primitive types and making everything unified from a type perspective. And cross-platform scale from very small to very large is a key aspect of the Java platform, and Oracle understands that, and we want to make sure that we can cover a vast range of devices with the same programming paradigm, the same methodology, right, which makes it easier for everyone involved in the ecosystem. Just a few words on Netbeans. As I said before, Netbeans is Oracle's premier IDE for everything Java. A lot of people are using Eclipse as well, or other platforms, and that's fine, or other tools, and that's okay. The benefit with Netbeans is that Netbeans is always up to date with its latest Java support, right? So for Java SE, for example, Netbeans had Project Coin support, the new language features right away. It had support for Javafx when Javafx 2.0 came out. It fully supports Java EE6 with, management of your applications, for example. And other IDEs often take several months to catch up with these things. So if you haven't looked at Netbeans in a while, I would recommend to. It's very popular and it's actually growing. The adoption is growing very nicely. So a word about Java 6, end of public updates. So what we're announcing here is that roughly in November of this year, we will stop making updates available to JDK 6, to Oracle's JDK 6. for free. So things like security updates will no longer be available for free on, for download. Because we want to encourage people to move to Java 7, but it's also very costly to support 2 platforms in parallel with all security features and bug fixes and things like that. However, if you still require Java 6 support, for example in your enterprise setting, then of course you can still get updates, but you would have to buy Oracle support agreement, right? We still continue to update Java 6, but it's just not public anymore. For the Java 7 update, actually for Windows, there will be an auto update mechanism. So in a short while, you actually see a pop-up on your Windows platform, Windows 32 bit, where it offers you to update to Java 7. So don't be surprised. Okay, let's talk about Javafx a little bit. Right, so one thing, Java is great, has always been great for sort of number crunching, for networking, for things like that. What was always a little harder with Java was to create user interfaces, rich client-side user interfaces, with windows and graphics and animations and audio support, video support, things like that. You could do it in Swing, but it was hard. And it was often not very cross-platform, in particular the media support wasn't. So with, rich web clients, fancy graphics and things like user interfaces that you find on tablet computers, it became clear that Java also needed to provide a much better sort of user interface framework going forward. And that's really what Javafx is, right? So it's the next generation Java client interface. And the nice thing about Javafx is it's just Java. It's actually part of the Java platform going forward, just like Swing was in the past, or other things are just part of the Java platform. Javafx will just be there and you can use it. You don't have to do anything extra. And because it's just a set of Java APIs, you don't have to change your programming language. You can just go ahead and start using it. And what's particularly important, people say, well, why do we need rich client UIs in Java? We believe that there are many use cases where web-based UIs are just not good enough or don't really solve your problem. And Javafx was designed to be very scalable. So we can use it, and we've started porting it from very small devices with limited screens all the way up to high-powered, 3D graphics accelerated desktop machines. And it scales very nicely, right? That's something other UI and media technologies often don't do. They work for a certain area, and if you want to go outside those platforms, you can't.
Excuse me?
Yes?
Can I ask a question? Is there going to be Javafx support for iPad or iPhone devices?
So the question was, is there going to be Javafx support for iPhone and iPad? So actually at Java 1, last year in October, we actually showed Javafx running on multiple tablet devices, including Apple. Those were engineering sort of prototypes, so technically it's not a problem at all to get it to work. It's a negotiation between Apple and Oracle, right? Apple has a pretty strict license agreement that basically prevents third-party runtimes from being used on iOS. But we're talking to Apple, and we, of course, want to make Javafx available on those platforms. But I can't give you a date on when that will happen.
Okay. And the other question, when there will Visual Gui for Javafx Netbeans appear?
You mean like a Visual Gui Builder?
Gui Builder, yes.
Okay, so when will a Visual Gui Builder appear in Netbeans? We've actually released a couple of weeks ago Javafx Scene Builder, which is a standalone tool at this point, but it is a visual drag and drop GUI builder for Javafx. We're not sure yet how we're going to integrate that in Netbeans, but it interoperates very nicely with Netbeans. So you get most of that. And you can drag and drop and create user interfaces very quickly. That's also free, that tool. So what's happening in JavaFX? It's been moving very quickly since it was announced about a year and a half ago. We actually have JavaFX 2.1 general availability for Windows and Mac. And there is a preview of 2.2 for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So we're definitely doing cross-platform desktop at this point. We have FX Scene Builder, as I mentioned. That's this drag and drop tool. And we are going for standardization. It's very important to, just like the Java platform, to standardize JavaFX open. And we're actually, oh, okay, that'll be another slide. And we're actually submitted JavaFX as a sub-project of OpenJDK. So it will be developed in the open. So, if you haven't heard about JavaFX before, here are just some buzzwords. It's a pretty powerful technology, and it contains high-performance graphics, animations, cross-platform media support, full UI components, so you can do things like lists and panels and all sorts of widgets. It has a full-blown property system where you can observe properties as they change in your UI and react to that. And what's really important, I think, for the enterprise space in particular is that it has very, very good integration with HTML. In fact, the JavaFX runtime contains a slimmed-down version of the WebKit engine. So the same engine, that's used in Apple Safari and Google's Chrome. So you can actually render HTML content directly in your JavaFX application. And what's more, you can interact with that content directly. So you can make calls to JavaScript. You can manipulate the DOM tree. So you don't have to choose between a rich client platform like JavaFX and the Java runtime underneath and web content. You can all integrate them together seamlessly and, again, choose the best technology for your part of the application. High-level feature set. It's scene graph based. So a scene graph is a structured tree of nodes of the different components that are visible in the system, which has a lot of benefits in terms of rendering that to an actual device. As I said, you have rich UI controls. There is a markup language. So there are two ways to create JavaFX UIs. One is to actually programmatically create your user interface components and lay them out in your code and then instantiate them and they appear on the screen. Many people are more familiar with the declarative model, so you have some kind of file external to your application, be it some version of XML, for example, where you declare all your components in that file, and then your Java application or your JavaFX application loads that file and creates the whole UI that way. You don't actually have to program it. That's possible in JavaFX. The language, the markup file is called fxml. And not only do you have full integration with web content like HTML and JavaScript, you also have interoperability with Swing applications. So a lot of people in the enterprise space have built vertical applications using Swing. Swing is not going away. It's going to be supported for a long time, but it's not really evolving anymore. JavaFX is the new technology. But luckily, it's very, very easy to start migrating your Swing application to JavaFX. All you need to do is there's a Swing component now called JFX panel. And so you can just put a JFX panel into your Swing UI, and you can start using JavaFX components in that panel without having to change anything in your Swing application, so you can slowly start migrating your application seamlessly. Now at this point, I wanted to give you a little demo. Unfortunately, I updated the system software on my Mac a few days ago, some OS components, and for some strange reasons, my Javafx demos don't work anymore. And I was talking to the engineering guys in California, the Javafx engineering team, and this is some bizarre combination of my hardware, my OS, my software that they've never seen before, and they can't reproduce it. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I have to wipe my whole hard disk and start over. It's really strange. Anyway, they're looking into it, but I thought, in the meantime, what I can show you is a video. So this is not a professional video. We're working on a better version. But this is a demo that was shown at Java 1 last year, and one of our members in the audience recorded it. It's a demo by Jasper Potts, who is one of the Javafx architect, and he just wants to show us some of the sort of the major eye candy that you can do with Javafx. So let me start that. So I'll just talk to it. This is one demo that displays audio spectrum data in real time. So all of the components you see, including that switch and everything, is Javafx, rendered in Javafx, so all Javafx components. You can see Javafx is highly customizable. It's very fast, so it actually does Fourier transformation or Fourier analysis on the live audio data and then renders it. You can change the different styles, so that's pretty neat. Then here is a similar application that analyzes audio data, but in 3D. And this, he is, live moving around the 3D animation in 3D space while it's being rendered, right? So you get an idea of the performance that Javafx has. It's very, very fast. This is a similar thing with the Rubik's Cube. I don't know if that's too interesting. Let's skip that in the interest of time. Yeah. Okay, then Javafx is not fully, it doesn't support 3D fully at this point, but what you can do is project 3D objects onto 2D planes fairly easily. So this is an example where we have a 3D animation that was rendered with an external tool, and we play that back in an interactive way in Javafx. And you can see it's fully 3D. You can rotate live around the object. So pretty cool stuff. And then the last demo, this is a bit of an outlook into the future. This is something you cannot do with Javafx currently because this has an experimental version of 3D support. What we did here is we created a whole 3D scene with Duke, the FX Labs as we call it. And we have shading and lighting and everything, but yeah, so you can see it here. So all this is live, generated in real time. What he did here for the demo is to actually hook up a Microsoft Kinect, the thing that, there we go. The thing that can read your body movements, and he hooked it up and he feeds the Microsoft Kinect data into the scene. You can see him in the background. And so he's moving Duke in real time with his body movements, right? So that's just kind of an outlook on the things you can do with Javafx, which at this point I'm not sure that you can do with any other sort of readily available off-the-shelf technology, this kind of thing. Anyway, so how are we for time? Okay, I think we gotta hurry up here. There's so much to talk about. I'll skip the Javafx architecture. I spoke to some of this. So OpenJFX is a project under the OpenJDK project, which we plan to, over time, introduce all the Javafx components as open source. Javafx, as I mentioned before, is already bundled with the JDK7 runtime. So if you download the runtime, Javafx is just there. Going forward in Java 8, Javafx will be integrated even deeper. So it's not going to be some odd add-on technology. It's going to just be a core component of the platform for you to use. In terms of the roadmap, so we have Javafx 2 out, including the Javafx Scene Builder tool at this point. We will have general availability for Linux towards the end of the year, so we're working on that. And then mid next year, Javafx 3.0 with a number of features that we're thinking about, full 3D support, an application framework to make writing applications easier, a message bus so you can communicate between the parts of your application, more UI widgets, more components, and a number of other things. So this is moving very, very rapidly. Let's talk about application servers for a bit. Obviously, this is of interest to many people in the audience. Java EE, is the enterprise application framework in the industry. And I think there are a number of good reasons for it. Java EE was really one of the first that had the container model for enterprise application, which gives you manageability and scalability. But I think more importantly is actually when you develop applications based on Java EE, you create portable enterprise applications, which means you can choose the vendor that is best for your particular use case and for your application. So a vendor that either supports certain features better, or is highly scalable, or has low cost. And so the hurdle to move from one vendor to the other is very low, and that is really the appeal of the technology. Because you can get a lot of application frameworks for Java EE from many vendors, but if they're proprietary, then you lock yourself into that vendor. So what we want to do is we want to maintain that. We want to maintain portability, stay away from proprietary extensions, add the things that people want as a core component of the platform. We want to make the Java EE framework extensible. So for example, right now you can't really integrate things like Spring or Hibernate or certain other UI, enterprise UI frameworks with Java EE easily. We want to change that. We want to be able to just drop in a non-Java EE component and you can use it as part of your application. And we want to be able to right-size the Java EE platform. So in the past, Java EE kept growing and growing and growing, and it got bigger and bigger, and there's a lot of stuff that people didn't really need anymore, or they only needed in certain cases. To make it easier for developers and to reduce just the size of it, we are supporting a modular design with profiles now. So if you look at Java EE, so currently Java EE 6 is the version out. And we've really seen great adoption of Java EE 6. Java EE 6 has a number of nice features. For example, modularization. There's a web profile now. And we've seen very, very fast adoption since Java EE was released. Almost 40 million downloads. There's wide support from a number of players in the industry, including Red Hat and IBM and Apache. And it's been really the fastest adoption of any Java EE specification so far. But there's this thing, cloud. Everybody's talking about cloud. And really what cloud is moving from a scalable in-house architecture, running on your own servers, to a scalable architecture at some cloud vendor, right? Where you basically rent disks, you rent CPU, you rent networking capacity, and obviously that can save costs, that can make your application more scalable because you can offer it to multiple customers without investing in new hardware and infrastructure. But it's not just about virtualizing, right? You can use virtualization platforms like VMware and so on to to replicate. But that's not really what cloud is about. Cloud is about scaling on infrastructure outside of your own in-house solution. There are obviously a number of solutions already out there that include Java or not. Some are separate. And there are different vendors that either provide services or provide platforms or provide complete packages. And you can see some of them here. The problem is all of these are proprietary, right? So we're back to square one. That was exactly one of the benefits of Java EE, to allow you to create applications without vendor lock-in. And so really that's where we want to go, is provide the features people want in a standard space in Java EE 7. So Java EE 7 is the next version, and that's really what it's about, is making Java EE ready for the cloud. And that includes a number of things. More flexible provisioning. So if you have your Java EE application sitting somewhere in the cloud, you have additional roles. You have an administrator. You have different tenants, right? You need to be able to provision to specific partitions in your application space. You need much more elasticity. So Java EE was already very good in going from single servers to server clusters, and now we want to keep expanding elasticity to be cloud enabled. Ideally, it scales all by itself, right? So you deploy it somewhere at a cloud vendor, and you tune some parameters, the upper and lower bounds, and the system automatically scales to the demand without you even touching it. Multi-tenancy is obviously very important. We want to make the platform more modular, as I said, so only use and deploy what you actually need for your application, which makes developing easier, makes deploying and managing easier. Interoperability with other standards like OSGI. And then, of course, HTML is good for certain types of applications, and we want to seamlessly support HTML from Java EE. So there will be new APIs and a new programming model in Java where you can interact with your web clients very easily. Then a bunch of additional features, WebSocket support, JSON support, and things like that. So I don't want to go into all the details here, so Java EE 7 is currently sort of in the final stages of specification. We've been working with a number of vendors in the industry over the last year to define what it is. So this is sort of the current feature set. So there are a number of new things, there are a number of updates to JSRs. So if you're interested in that, have a look online. You can follow the Java EE 7 specification is a JSR, a public JSR, so you can follow everything that's going on there. Nearly all JSRs are done at this point. We are planning to file all the sub-JSRs over time, or file them with our partners. And we're looking at roughly the end of the year. We want to get it out. Anything that does not make the end of the year date goes into Java EE 8. So again, a lot happening in the Java EE space. Okay, oh yes, the roadmap. It's actually, we need to update that because we're already in 2012. Glassfish is, I don't know how many people are familiar with Glassfish. Glassfish is the reference implementation for Java EE. So it gets updated continuously according to the latest Java EE specifications. But Glassfish is also very popular not only as a reference implementation, but also in production. So it's very stable. It has scaling abilities, management abilities. It won't suit all commercial applications, but many people, especially for smaller installations, are just happy, are happy with Glassfish. And of course, Glassfish is open source and free, and so the hurdle to entry is very, very low. The barrier to entry is very low. And Glassfish 4 will support Java EE 7 as soon as it comes out. In fact, they're already putting all the features that are currently scheduled for Java EE 7 into Glassfish. So and again, it's an open source project. You can follow along what's happening there and download the latest builds. Okay, let's talk a couple of minutes about mobile embedded, because to me that's actually almost the most interesting part of Java. So as I said, run anywhere was always important. That's how Java started, as in the Star 7 project, as the language Oak. It ran on a sort of PDA type device in Sun Labs at the time, because James Gosling and others realized that, hey, if we wanted to make this portable and run on all these different platforms, we need to come up with this intermediate layer, which then turned out to be the Java runtime. And with Java moving forward and being already in 10 billion devices, as I mentioned in the beginning, we actually have a much bigger vision, right? If you look at the success that mobile devices have had, the concept of connectivity, of bringing the real world into your enterprise, into connecting, sensing what's happening out in the real world, connecting people, connecting data, sensors, influencing what's happening in the world with actuators. This is a trend that's just accelerating, and it's far beyond just mobile devices. Actually, the much bigger part of the growth over the next 5 years will be intelligent connected devices. So devices that sit out there somewhere, interact with the world in some way, be it sensing the environment or sensing a production line, and then doing things intelligently. You're able to update them, add functionality over time. They can interact with the back end, and you can make processes much more efficient. You can create new business models, because all of a sudden you can touch all these things that are happening out there in the world, because everything's connected, right? And so this is sort of the vision that we have. All these devices sitting in the cloud, connected, via some internet or Wi-Fi or cellular or local radio network, interacting with the world around them, and they create a lot of data, and the value is really in the data. So you need to feed that data back into your enterprise, analyze it, store it, and then interact, send commands back down into these devices to make them behave better, to make them more intelligent, right? And Oracle is really best positioned to do all this, because Oracle, of course, is very strong in the back end with vertical applications and integrations into all these different markets. And we're very strong on the client side with the Java platform, because obviously there is no single platform or operating system or language that can cover all these devices. You really need a virtual runtime, and that's exactly what Java was designed for, right? So I really expect billions and billions of additional devices running Java to be deployed into the world over the next couple of years. But looking back a little bit at 2011, what happened there? Java Card. If you're not familiar with Java Card, it's a technology that runs in very, very small devices. These smart cards with a couple of kilobytes of memory. They're very good for doing small, very secure local processing. There are over 5 billion smart cards with Java out in the market today. Many bank cards and ID cards have a Java card on them. So those are very, very popular, especially for security and identification. Oops, what happened here? Then on the phone space, a lot of people think of mobile phones as Android and iPhone devices, but in fact, the vast majority of mobile phones out there today are running Java, and we're doing a lot of work there to make those better, to allow you to create richer applications. In fact, Nokia just announced a new series of mobile devices called the Asha series. Very, very low price point, around 60 euros, with big touch screens, and they're specially geared for markets like India and China and Brazil. So there's a lot happening there. And then the whole embedded space. So we're seeing, as I said before, much more connectivity. Every Blu-ray player that ever shipped has a Java runtime on it. Java is part of the Blu-ray spec. So if you pop in a Blu-ray disc, it automatically starts up the VM, loads a Java application from the disk, and starts running that. We're seeing those devices getting more connected. So Blu-ray players can now connect to a backend server and pull down information and content on the fly. So a number of things happening, and we want to make that easier and more integrated. So as I said before, we want to bring a homogeneous spectrum of Java runtimes and Java support across all these devices. So what we're doing is we're aligning the Java ME platform, which traditionally was a subset of Java SE. We're aligning that with the Java SE platform. So we're giving it, we're updating it with the Java 7 language features and with other things, libraries and APIs. And we want to make Java available on many more platforms, mobile and embedded, and make it very easy for people to create applications across this entire space. Now I won't go into too many details because we're short on time, but this is the key message for you as a developer let me skip, I think, one more slide. For you as a developer, going forward, the Java picture will look something like this. If you look on the left, that's sort of the memory footprint, roughly, of devices. So, very small, 1 megabyte, medium size, up to 10 megabyte, and everything beyond that. And then a number of different platforms, right? The mobile and embedded space is much more fragmented than the desktop space. So you have different operating systems, different processors. But for you as a Java developer, you'll basically go, okay, do I want to target this space, or do I want to target everything else? And you can use the same Java language, the same tools, the same libraries. Many of the APIs will be the same. Of course, some APIs don't really work for certain types of applications or for certain spaces. But in general, what we're trying to do is allow a Java developer, once you have that experience in developing Java applications, you can easily go and target very different market segments with your same skill set. That is not the case today. Today, for example, if you want to build an application for a set-top box, then you have to do license agreements with the vendor of that technology. You have to learn their language, their tool chain, their libraries, right? It's a huge learning curve. And then you want to go to a different set-top box vendor, and it's a whole different set of technology, and you start all over. It's not scalable. Yes? Sorry? I thought it was 20 past, right? Okay. Well, I'm almost done. So to wrap up, what I wanted to bring across is that Java is really moving forward. Look at what's happening in the Java platform. Follow up online. There's a lot of good stuff happening, whatever your particular area is. The place to start is oracle.com/Java. You can follow any of the open source projects. You can follow the various Twitter handles. That is mine. I try to blog regularly, particularly about the mobile and embedded space. This is a very good place to go, the Java Spotlight podcast. This is a weekly podcast of about 30 minutes on any topic in the Java space. So it's very, very easy to keep up to date with what's happening. And then finally, I don't know if you had a chance to look at Java 1 in San Francisco. Notice it starts on Sunday this year for the first time. The keynotes will be on Sunday, not Monday. So if you want to book a flight in a hotel, be sure to observe that. And that's it. I'm sorry I had to go so fast. I don't know if you have time for questions. Maybe not. Maybe 2 questions. Are there any questions? Oh, and I have I have tickets to the party tonight for questions. Yes.
When Javafx 8 will be released next summer, how long there will be free updates supported for Java 7?
Okay, so when Java,
Analogously for 8 and 9 and so on.
okay, so when a new version of Java gets released, for example, Java 8, how long will there be free updates for the previous version? Right now, we're anticipating about 18 months of availability for free updates. So that means if 8 gets released mid-2013, you would go to end of 2014 for Java 7 updates. Free updates. Updates with support are much longer.